The topic that I chose for my advocacy speech is the freedom of the press. I chose this topic to give my own opinion because nowadays I do not know if I could still trust the media. Because no one knows if what everything they say is correct and true. The media nowadays is so different to the media before. I chose this topic to inspire people and also to those who have been victims. Media is so powerful, it can turn into an instrument of great public harm and damage. Newspapers and journals, it serves as camera, it pictures live things, what is happening every moment. Newspapers or press, they are providing information. They should telling us the truth. But people remain in the dark, and in that case, confusion, corruption, and abuse of power hold firm in the society. The influence of the press is great. That is why the freedom of press is necessary in order for us to know what is right. They have the right to be free to speak about the issues in our society and to be free to give information without any fear. The moment we no longer have a press freedom, anything can happen. What makes it possible for a totalitarian or any other dictatorship to rule is that people are not informed. How can you have an opinion if you are not informed? If everybody always lies to you, the consequence is not that you believe the lies, but rather that nobody believes anything any longer. That is according to Hannah Arendt. Every day, anything can happen. How can you have an opinion if you are not informed? But what if yes, we are informed but not everything they say is right? If everybody lies to you, who should we trust, or I might say, can we trust everybody? In the Philippines, there can be no press freedom, while journalists are forced to live in fear. You will never know how much it has cost a generation to preserve your freedom, and I hope that you will make a good use of it. If you are a journalist, you are going to distrust everything, because being a journalist was never easy. What everything we read is not true. What everything we see is not true. Not everything they say are true. Not everything they write are true. Being a journalist, it is their right. They could print whatever they want without government control. Freedom of the press is very important because it plays a vital role in giving information to the people about public affairs and monitoring the actions of government, all aspects. There are countries that have no press freedom: Eritrea, North Korea, Turkmenistan, Syria, China, Vietnam, and Sudan. Here in Philippines, there is press freedom, but when they say the truth, they will be living in fear. According to Alan Coe, here are some extents and boundaries of freedom of press. Government cannot sue to prevent the press from printing some information even if they don't have a legal right to have the information. Freedom of press is fundamental personal right that extends to any sort of publication that can carry information or opinions. May be censored by principal or other school officials. Media cannot be prosecuted for publishing classified information, but those who have a duty to protect that information can be prosecuted for supplying the information to the media. Nowadays, telling the truth is a crime. If you will tell the truth, your life will be in danger. You are going to receive a lot of death threats, and you will be receiving a lot of blackmails. According to Time, these are the 10 most urgent cases of threats to press freedom around the world. First, Azori Gwanda from Tanzania. Independent Tanzanian journalist goes missing. A freelance journalist working in rural Tanzania has been missing since November 21, 2017. Before his disappearance, Gwanda had been investigating mysterious killing in his community. The Tanzanian government has so far failed to launch a credible investigation into his case. Second, Walon and Kiao So-o from Myanmar. Reuters reporters imprisoned under the Official Secrets Act following their investigation into a security force massacre of Rohingya men and boys in western Rakhine State. The pair were convicted under the colonial-era Official Secrets Act and sentenced to 7 years each in prison, even though a policeman testified that they had been entrapped. The Myanmar Supreme Court recently upheld their convictions. Third, Miguel Mora and Lucia Pineda. From Nicaragua, Nicaraguan journalists detained amid media crackdown. In December, Nicaraguan police raided TV station 100% Noticias and arrested station director Miguel Mora and Lucia Pineda, its news director. Both journalists are being held on charges of inciting hate and violence and have been denied consistent access to legal services. Fourth, Miroslava Bridge Beldusea from Mexico, murdered for reporting on corruption and politics in March 2017. La Jornada correspondent Miroslava Beldusea was murdered in the state of Chihuahua in connection to her reporting on links between politicians and organized crime. Prior to her death, she had received threats on at least 3 occasions for her reporting. Currently, there is one suspect in custody, and the next hearing is expected to take place in the coming months. Fifth, Claudia Duque from Colombia, veteran investigative reporter deserves justice for harassment and attacks. Duque has endured kidnapping, illegal surveillance, psychological torture, and exile as a result of her work. Colombian courts convicted 3 high-ranking officers of the Colombian Security Services for torturing Claudia and her daughter in 2003 and 2004. As of May 2019, all the defendants in the case were free. 6. Mahmoud Abu Zaid from Shaukan and Abdel Fattah from Egypt, still not free even after prison release. Egyptian blogger Ala Abdel Fattah and photographer Mahmoud Abu Zaid were released this year after spending over 5 years behind bars. However, both have to report to a police station each evening, and it is up to the police whether they can leave. So far, both have spent every night of their freedom behind bars. 7. Asif Sultan from India, imprisoned on anti-state charges for covering conflict. A reporter with Kashmir Narrator was arrested on anti-state charges in August 2018. He has been repeatedly interrogated and asked to reveal sources by police, and has experienced health issues as he remains behind bars. 8. Jamal Khashoggi from Saudi Arabia, justice denied for murdered Saudi journalist. Months after his brutal murder at the Saudi Arabian consulate in Istanbul, and despite findings from the CIA that point to the Saudi Crown Prince's involvement, there has been no independent UN criminal investigation. Calls for the White House to release intelligence reports have gone unheeded, along with a deadline to reply to Congress as required under the U.S. Global Magnitsky Act. 9th, Mimi Mefo from Cameroon, an arrest on false news and cybercrime charges. In November 2018, journalist Mimi Mefo was arrested on false news and cybercrime charges in connection to her reporting on unrest in the conflict-hit northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. While she was released after 4 days, she continues to speak out against harassment of journalists throughout Cameroon and the impact of the conflict. 10th, Anna Nimiriano from South Sudan, newspaper editor in South Sudan, lives under constant threat. As editor of the Juba Monitor, Nimiriano fights to keep her colleagues out of jail for their reporting, and has in the past been ordered by the government to shut down the paper. She perseveres in spite of arrest threats and constant censorship of her and her colleagues. Freedom of the press is the very foundation and an essential condition for a successful democracy. It is the backbone of democracy. Journalists, reporters, and editors can work without any fear of what possibly could happen to them. The press supposed to be the way between the government and people in a free society. They could influence a lot of people. It investigates government, it investigates official lapses and makes the facts public. In newspapers, they can print news and people can view it without being censored by any authority. But being a press, they always have to tell what is real to gain the trust of everyone. People have the right to know the things that is true and correct. The press is the in charge to keep the people informed, educated and alert. But at times, it is happening. They cannot do it right because nowadays, if they do what is right, their life will be in a mess. The freedom of the press should be given to them. Freedom of them to tell everyone what is right so they can influence and educate the people. Freedom of them to inform the people on what's happening in our society without receiving any blackmails. Because it is not their fault. It is just their work or responsibility to inform people. Because